Episode 329, Rain. This is the Change Underground. I'm your host, John Moore. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. The long 2 months of dryness have passed, it would appear. The last 2 weekends we've had the first rains of autumn, and they are very welcome. The air was looking dirty. We have a Mediterranean climate here, or we have had. Patterns are changing and, in this region, becoming more extreme in those patterns. Whilst we haven't had the 38 degrees plus of the mainland, we have had 26 here in the northwest of Tassie, and that's been difficult. So for my USA listeners, that's over 100 and just under 80 for the 38 plus and 26. As it turns out, not all of Australia is an oven. The tail end of the current La Nina event has seen more flooding across the top end of the continent and has been heartbreaking to watch. Quite a number of Indigenous communities, particularly the outlying ones, have suffered terribly. Indeed, the weather has hit this place hard for a few years. There's still people living in tents from the summer of 2019-2020 black summer fires. Towns that have never flooded since white colonisation have gone under, and others have been hit repeatedly. We know this was related to climate change and the warming planet, even if we can't attribute any particular event to that. Now, I have my doubts about that last statement, but it comes from climate specialists, so I'll go with it. And it's not just Australia. The largest city in New Zealand, Auckland, has been hit with multiple floods and there's more rain coming. And as you will recall, within the last 12 months, Pakistan was 30 to 50% underwater. Now, I came across a meme today on Facebook that I shared in the Change Underground Facebook group, link in the show notes, with the following quote from Kurt Vonnegut. "We will go down in history as the only society that wouldn't save itself because it wasn't cost effective," which put me in mind of another cartoon I saw a few years ago of an older man sitting around a campfire with a circle of children sitting with him, saying something to the effect of, "Yes, we trashed the planet, but for one small moment of time, we created stupendous shareholder value." As discussed in episode 328, we should be able to rewrite the purpose and functions of corporations. Shareholder value wasn't the only reason companies existed. True enough, it was the major concern, but corporations used to give a shit about their people at least. This is a form of enlightened self-interest, obviously. Healthy, well-housed employees are better to extract surplus labour from than sickly, homeless people. I know that sounds a bit Marxist, and maybe it is, but I still think it holds true. Adam Smith's unseen hand of the market, where millions of different decisions lead to everyone having access to parts of a bigger pie, seems to have become an unseen but directed fist, aimed first at the working classes of the nations who, in inverted commas, won the Cold War by shipping their jobs offshore, and then at the middle class through the deification of the work ethic. The effect has still been to grow a bigger pie, but far fewer people are able to have a slice big enough to maintain their living standards. Hand in hand with this, we've seen the shrinkage of the suburban plot, in parallel with the growth of the average house size to the point where it is almost impossible to feed the household from the block on which their house sits. The quarter-acre block, 1,000 square metres, was the standard suburban lot size in Australia until the 1990s, when local councils discovered they could fit 2 houses on such a block, double their rate revenue and live with the existing water, sewerage and stormwater systems, which are the responsibility of other levels of government, or were privatised by those other levels of government. The reason for the quarter-acre block? That's how much land a family of 2 adults and 4 children needed to feed themselves with vegetables, some fruit trees, chooks and eggs. Now, we all know how much more productive a no-dig system can be, and family sizes have fallen, so less land is needed for food. But even that tiny amount has been devoted to housing. And as all these developments were occurring, the rates of homelessness have skyrocketed. Instead of building social housing, centre-right and on occasion centre-left parties have blamed the homeless as scroungers, not worthy of having taxpayers' funds frittered away on them. It is, as the late Mr. Vonnegut put it, not cost-effective. Until it turns out that it would have been. So here we are, a full generation on from the fall of the Berlin Wall, the triumph of capitalism and the implementation of cost-effective, just-in-time supply chains to find supermarket shelves with huge areas of missing products. This triumph of capitalism has our food chain looking like, well, if not quite North Korea, then heading towards East Germany. A few months back I read a book, I listened to an audio book, The End of the World is Just Beginning by Peter Zeihan, where he uses the Bronze Age collapse in the Eastern Mediterranean as a microcosm of our globalised world. That world wasn't as connected as ours, but it was pretty connected. At the, as the archaeologists like to say, high status end of town. Now that should sound fairly familiar to those observing our current situation. Floods, a volcanic eruption, an earthquake, war, a combination of all of these brought this economic system down, leading to what is, I believe, still called the Greek Dark Ages. None of this is comforting to those of us of a particular mindset. Yet, as I type this script, the rain continues to tumble down, bringing as it does at this time of the year a burst of autumnal life as the fruit trees finish their work. The clovers, vetches and winter grasses start to stretch into life, and the earth keeps revolving. We are here now. Spring will have or be about to start its magic north of the equator, and food is still provided by those 6 inches of wonder beneath our feet we call the topsoil. I'm still optimistic about our species as a future, our ability to bounce back and come to our senses. It's just that some days it is difficult to stay an optimist. A good apple crop in the offing is always a spirit lifter. Stay positive, grow what you can where you can, look after each other and stay safe and well until next week. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. This has been a JM Podcasting Services production. Link in the show notes.